Gotham City and the Commonwealth may seem worlds apart at first glance, with one steeped in the murky world of crime, corruption, and a dark urban decay, while the other one boasts a post-apocalyptic wasteland ravaged by nuclear war. However, when you dig deeper into the two, you may see some strikingly similar parallel characteristics. But what if I was to collide both the world's emotional damage into one big happy family? Can you beat Fallout 4 as the Batman? Once again, there's going to be no need for a face reveal, as Bruce Wayne can simply be represented by generic white guy 1. However, you can't go wrong with crafting the most perfectly chiseled chin. Just look how beautiful it is. Now with this run here, I'm going to need you to do something very important. I'm going to need you to use a little bit of that imagination. For what reason, you ask? You're going to find out. With the Batcave now gone, there's only one way to represent Batman's dedication to protecting the innocent. By protecting my innocence with a specifically unspecific skill set.
Don't do it!
Firstly, dropping 7 points into agility, making me faster than Joker's jerk-off session over Batman's misery. Adding 7 points into endurance, allowing me to take a harder hit than Ubisoft's shares. 7 in perception, as there's nothing like pretending that the skill is remotely useful when fisting people. And finally, 4 in strength, simply so it doesn't feel like I am throwing wet tissues. I tickled my dad on his belly and spun his favourite rockets and watched him as he fell asleep in Mum's arms. As I said, imagination. BioWare releases Dragon Age Veilguard to the world. I get a new playsuit and get forced into an ice chamber where I watch my parents get brutally murdered in front of my eyes. And remember,
imagination.
Making my way through the vault, I make insects explode with my fists, put rusty needles in my jumpsuit pocket for later, clear the desk of completely useless items, and fist some more juice pockets to moisturize my dry skin. Reaching the surface, I bask my perfectly sculptured chin in the sunlight as if it was a solar panel and watched my English butler Alfred, Codsworth, clean up a mess he should have done 200 years ago. I find more rusty needles and put it in my pocket, and finally make my way to Concord, where I was to remember just how stupid the saving system in this game really is.
Oh no,
Returning back to Concord after a second wind of emotional damage, I critically disable a couple of raiders, because as you know, Batman doesn't kill. So just remember, no one dies in this run. They just constantly get put in vegetable states by my fists. You see, he has his eyes closed, which means he's just sleeping. Alright, I can explain that one.
Imagination.
As raiders joyfully fall asleep to the sweet lullaby of my fists, I, on the other hand, was put to sleep once again. And, well, again and again. You see, for me to fully embrace that Dark Knight persona, I must first endure endless suffering, and then take that suffering and slap it across Gravy Train's face for a sheer stupidity, because nothing says hero's journey like an all-you-can-sleep buffet. I'm so sorry. Finally reaching the rust bucket, I leaped off the building to get that taste of the gliding sensation, that wind against the metal plates, that feeling of your knees about to pop out of its sockets as you land. Such sensation. And it seemed like I wasn't the only one who wanted to know what that felt like. Staring at the second most terrifying things to bats, I tactically leaped from the building and straight lined it for the corner store, tag teaming the flightless bat with meat sauce until I finally grew tired of all the fisting. Justice had been served. The streets of Concord were now clean, and since the bodies are still moving, obviously they are still alive. Now that's what I call a group orgy.
Yeah, boy.
Giving Preston false hopes for a hit of free XP, it was finally time. After the trials and tribulations, the suit was calling my name. And for the people out there that are wanting to fulfill their Dark Knight Wasteland wet dream, this mod is called Knightmare Batman. I'll leave a link down below for you all to go and check it out and enjoy. As darkness claimed the Commonwealth and a tree claimed Preston, I was off to my favorite diner where I acted not very suspicious at all and pulled a reverse Uno card on Wolfgang as it was way past his bedtime, and luckily for Simone, a swift knee to the head meant permanent brain damage and a good night's sleep. But unfortunately, Patrick and Trudy weren't too receptive of my justice. Alright, Trudy, you can take this place right here. Yep. Looks good to me, as if nothing ever happened. Wolfgang, you can go here. Now, just behave yourself this time, alright, Wolfgang? Nod your head if you're listening. Fantastic. A cup for you and a cup for you. Say cheese! Aren't you two such a cute couple? As if watching people from a high-rise wasn't perverted enough, I decided to fist an overly muscular dog from behind, and with the overwhelming sense of more justice needed to be served, I punched Piper in the face. You see, as easy as it is to have security wanting to kill you for punching someone they never wanted inside in the first place, all it takes is an elevator ride and all is forgiven.
Hey.
With my failed attempt to persuade Ellie with my ventriloquist magic, and with the idea of justice going slightly off the rails this time, it is still very important that we cling on to the rule of this run.
Imagination!
Sure, I might have accidentally turned the entire population of Italians in the Commonwealth into drooling vegetables, only to be locked in the vault where they will eternally wallow in their own filth because a lady I've never met before told me to retrieve her sex robot from a random location, which without question I agreed to. So I punched Darla in the face. Surely I'm not the only one who sees the similarities between Skinny Malone and the Penguin. I enter Hubris Comics to fist men that look like sultanas, with the theory being that this is the product of my serial fisting around the Commonwealth. Something I like to call sultanification. I find a monkey suspiciously placed on the toilet, get my hands on a certain photo to which I'll use later, push over a cutout of a man who claims to be a pathetic version of me, and watch radioactive Mr. Burns as he flails in the door. So I fist him too. Some would say with this amount of fisting going on, it's an addiction. I call it a lifestyle. Returning to Diamond City, I was overburdened by a fedora, described a balding man without moving my mouth, and led Valentine to believe something that was never going to happen as I had other plans in mind. Well, that's that out the window. The mod's called Driveable Batmobile. Hopefully you have better luck than I do. Forcing Dogmeat to sniff my hand in bloody rags, I gave Peter a reason to file a lawsuit against me. The cereal factory was in sight. It was finally time to face an enemy that I can... Yeah, this doesn't count as killing if it's a machine, right?
No, I don't want to go! No!
Spreading fear through the coils of dozens of aggressive sex robots that Kellogg keeps at his disposal, I make it to the Cornflake Man only slightly aroused from all the hardcore fisting that had taken place. I caress his face so good that he bows to me in understanding and surrenders his body for me to spread him. You know, I'm really making Batman out to be some kind of unhinged sex freak. But who are you to say otherwise, Finding the secrets of Kellogg's brony obsession, I head back to the Batcave for some minor adjustments. You see, Batman is a man of gadgets, such as armor-piercing spiked knuckles that help with life-threatening internal bleeding, and throwing knives that penetrate metal walls. It truly amazes me how skillful he is at causing absolutely no harm to humans.
You sure about that?
With two criminals of the Commonwealth taken care of in such quick fashion, I return back to Diamond City to a guard unable to keep his eyes off me. I truly don't understand why. Finding out I must do some more digging for a lady that I punched in the face earlier for no apparent reason, I furthered my no apparent reason with a dirty ashtray and created my own form of justice once again. Making my way into Gotham City, good neighbor, I let loose my throwing daggers at an aggressive bald man before he could get even more aggressive with me. Because with great shine comes great anger. Confused at the ordeal of not being able to retrieve my blades from his body, I attempt to shake them out.
Hey.
Look how he sleeps so peacefully. Pushing over more cutouts of a man trying to be me, I agree to helping a survivor of sultanification to purify the city of Goodneighbor of its crime. Sounds quite familiar if you ask me. Performing a perfect 10 and synchronized sitting, it was time to do what I do best. Putting people into permanent comas and executing flawless cover-ups.
Oh, you better believe it.
With my miserable attempt at persuading Alfred's cousin for information, I used the power of Wayne Enterprise, finding myself a newly established Airbnb drug front where I made swift work of the so-called criminals that resided inside, and once again finding myself hitting another woman, unsure of what to do with the situation. I do what I do second best. I speak to a sultana dressed as a man from a civil war who gives me instruction for more criminal takedowns. So off I go, through back streets, wading through water like a majestic dolphin, only to horribly miss my throwing dagger, so I throw a few more. With another woman punched to the ground and my fear for Todd's wife heightened, I once again do what I do second best. Enticed from the thrill of assault, I find myself once again voluntarily involved with another explosive altercation. I can feel the blood flow to places it hasn't ever since the accident. I watch a man use the RuneScape teleportation method. This angers me, so I chase him down and knife him to the knee. Returning back to Goodneighbor, it was like Cleo heard about what happened at the cereal factory, and I was faced with a very peculiar bug where Irma was having some sort of mental breakdown about the fact that I needed to talk to her about the main quest and the whereabouts of Kent at the same time. Fascinating indeed. So off I proceeded to tackle the hentai tentacle mess of Kellogg's mind so I can continue my crime-stopping festivities. Oh god, here comes Irma again. Oh no, and there she goes. What the fuck?
Why are you running? Why are you running?
With the ability of now being able to help out our good pal Kent, I head out to uppercut a raider to sleep while also exploding a dog with my fist, which simultaneously causes Peter to file another lawsuit against me. Finally making it to Milton Hospital, I attempt to use the Adolf technique, which turns out it may have been nerfed. So I do what I do best. Finally reaching Kent after hours of mindless roaming in the hospital, I made a swift attempt at trying to save the Sultana from another Sultana, and as hope was on the horizon, it was taken away. But I agreed it was justice in its own self and let hand on my cock know it was a job well done. Now, this wouldn't be a Fallout run if nothing cooked happened. Blessed be Todd, something most definitely cooked happened. You see, I was gangbanged by suicidal mutants. Not one, not two, but three. Because as they say, third time lucky? More like third time f***ing terrified for my life. But if you thought it was over, oh boy, you're wrong. You see, after all that, I literally just walked a little bit up the road. I mean, not even 100 meters up the road, and well... And guess what? Not even another 100 meters up the road, another opportunity presented itself. A rare sighting of an albino ragstag. So I did what I do best. Created myself a third Peter lawsuit. But wait, there is more. Yes, you know exactly what this means. You know, it's always just a matter of when with the but holy shit. Tired of all of Todd's amazing blessings, I finally made my way back to the glowing sea. Not because I wanted to talk to our good friend Virgil, to which we find out we need to go to the thickest building in all of the Commonwealth to acquire the chip of destiny by prying open the courser's head and leaping off the building to see if I could glide. No, it was simply so I could throw a giant lizard in the air to show off how big my justice was. But again, that is not the only justice that needs to be served before we move on.
perfection.
For me to say that Kellogg's Sex Factory was the end of robotic seduction, well, that would be a lie, as it was only the beginning of the bukkake. You see, this is where the story takes a massive 90-degree and the true Tinker with My Stinker story begins. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you some nice harmless fun of apple bobbing in hopes I would find some closure to my own parents' death. After meeting my new hot piece of mechanical problems and the fact that there is another costume-wearing vigilante afoot in the Commonwealth, I was overcome in sensation as finally there was a real threat to deal with. My hunger for fisting delusional humans was at an all-time high. So off I headed to the General Atomics factory, which was really just a front for Kellogg's kink sex robots. But that was not before experiencing my one true love of the Howard-verse. This game never ceases to amaze me. Like, honestly, where is he going? Within the iRobot factory, my mind was ever so blown by the immense range of pleasure bots that were to be taken to the public of the Commonwealth. Maybe I was doing a disservice by taking down this underground pleasure dome who was run by somebody called the Mechanist. Then I remembered there was only one room for the in the Commonwealth. This angered me. Justice will have its reckoning, but not before I get reckoned with first. Acquiring the second chip of destiny after my display of overwhelming dominance over Megamind, I was set to reposition my Batcave under the instruction of my own little kink bot. Here I was to create a platform of sex change, allowing Ada to become whoever it wants to be. So I shove a radar beacon in her neck, with the information of needing to find more of these beacons to gain access to the matrix of the Mechanist. It was time for a tactical upgrade. Yes, that is correct, Batman with goggles. You see, with the taste of newly found power, you would think newly found ease, but this is Todd's world, so it becomes newly found crippling depression. But at least I have explosions to give me some sense of happiness. With Megamind thrown into the abyss and Ada explained that I only need one more beacon to locate the false reckoning, I discover Fort Hagen's satellite array in the most arousing way possible. I once again prove that justice by fisting is the most efficient way. I fight a man who has found a new definition of being furry. This concerns me, so I fist another man off a walkway. Making my way into Hangar 18, I was met with a little more of the same as outside. So I throw knives as if I was creating a no-scope montage and knee a man in the forehead, giving him permanent brain bleed. But at least he didn't die. Because what was that thing we must remember now?
Imagination.
Further into the hangar, I meet a computer named Jezebel. Not Jezebel, but Jezebel. Because you are wrong. She throws some mathematical calculations at me as if I care and asks to find her a new body. Turns out she's an absolute piece of shit and unleashes a fire-breathing dragon named Ahab, to which I repeatedly punch in the groin until it gave in to my justice, giving me 2-degree burns as I stand next to it as it combusts. With understanding of the need of more power, I get more power in form of a meat tenderizer, making easy work of Ivy, so easy in fact that she decided to finish the job for me.
Hey.
Returning back to the Batcave, I give Jezebel a new body, which meant it was finally time. That is right, folks, the moment you've all been waiting for. Robco Sales and Service Center. Now, one would assume that the Mechanist is one highly intelligent human being, being able to construct as many overly aggressive sexual robots as they want, taking over the wasteland one wet dream at a time. But you see, that idea escaped my brain once I realized how stupid the security measures are in this layer. It made me wonder. It made me wonder indeed. As if I haven't said this over 100 times already, you see, after the countless look how cool this door opens door and the onslaught of robots, there is a room. A room full of brains, a room full of sultanified experiments. Maybe I have lived long enough to become the villain. Reaching the end of the road, it was time to meet my creation. Yes, that is correct. correct, my creation. For the Mechanist doesn't realize the whole reason why the elaborate plan of using ghouls' brains for one's creations was actually generated for my lust of the fist. The fist that doesn't kill, but the fist that sultanifies one's body. I tell the Mechanist to shut up. This angers them, which brings back the fond memories of my parents getting shot. As if the fight was never coming to an end, and the idea of maybe, just maybe, this was a stupid idea, because if you've been down this path before, it's like an endless stream of piss. The type of stream of you are sleeping in bed having a nice dream kind of stream. The endless flow of, oh no, why won't you stop, but it feels so good.
No!
Finally dealing with a game developer's internal anger towards society, I was face to face with this whole run's fabricated reason. The Mechanist. Now, I was expecting some kind of epic long-winded fight, but my big brain took control and I punched the pulse mine, which to my surprise, it turns out the Mechanist is a weak piece of shit. And once again, Todd tricked me into punching another woman to sleep. Seriously guys, has anyone heard from Todd's wife since the release of Fallout 4? I know it's been a while, but I am back. That is correct, I am back. From what you ask, well, if you stick around long enough, you're gonna find out. It's been one hell of a journey to say the least. For those who have stuck around, I thank you. And for those who are new, welcome to the shit show. I hope you all have enjoyed the video, and remember, be like this guy here. He is a true sort.
Hey.